Welcome, sewing friends. This is Cheryl with Bluegrass Dreams to Seams. I worked this morning in my little closet back here. I have this little antique cabinet and my new machine that I'm still learning how to use. Working on this second bag for sewing, and I got the lining put together, and I did try to do little clips of me doing this, but that light that I have put inside my cabinet so I can actually see what I'm doing when I'm sewing is really bright, as you can see. So we're going to have to just talk about it until I can figure out what to do, but hopefully for the bag itself, the outside of the bag, I will figure that out and I'll be able to join that clip with this clip and show you little snippets of how I put the outside of the bag together. The first thing I did on this bag was, oops, you can't see it now. I drew a line, a little rectangle on the opposite side to insert my zipper, and then I stitched all the way around. Once I got the zipper in place, which, you know, I had stitched it in place on the outside, I then stitched this lining that's back there. You can see I didn't think about this side wasn't going to be lined. Oops. But you know, this is a bag, and so Cheryl does not care. Cheryl is fine with that. But that, you know, again, I'm not going to stress about it. I got all my numbers. Of course, they're backwards on camera, but they are, it's right side up like it's supposed to be. And I have the bottom in. This actually went in easier this time because I worked from top to bottom the first time, and then I went to the other side and worked bottom to top, and then I stitched this seam here. So I put in my sides first and my front and back second. So I had one long continuous strip, side, bottom, side, and then did the front and backs. Before I did all that though, I did put in a smaller pocket for scissors that you can see right here. And I had cut this in half, this big long strip, and then I regretted it. So I ended up piecing it and top stitching and did that on a second machine that I still have. But other than that, if you can see down inside, it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with my lining. So there we go. We got that done. Check. Okay. I have done a little bit of pre-sewing so that I can show you some about the bag and how it's going together, and there'll be other pieces that I will sew. I realize you will not be able to see me sewing except for right here because these lights are so bright. I cannot put my camera up above, and ideally that is where it needs to be. So bear with me. I will look around and see what I can find in other tools. So what I've done is I've completed one side pocket, so you can see the binding on it, and it's on the yellow part that's the actual bag. That'll just stay that way. And I've also completed one of these, and what I've done here is stitch, and I've actually divided this. I have a ruler I use when I'm doing garment sewing, adjusting patterns, that it's going to slide down in this pocket, and then this will actually hold a sewing pattern that might be McCall's, Butterick, Simplicity. Those will all fit there. And in my other large pocket, which is right here, I've got a piece of binding yet to sew on. You see this gets folded, this 2-inch wide binding gets folded in half and stitched to the raw edge. I'm going to finish that, and then I'll press it up like this, and you simply just wrap it to the back. And you press really, really good, and then I hold it down with these little clips that I'm sure you've seen. Well, here's one right here. I'm holding it down with clips, and I will sew right along this edge right here in the ditch, I think is what they call it. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So first off, I want to finish this seam. So I'll pick up just slightly back from where I was. put my needle down into the fabric and just finish it. So that's finished. I'll get rid of this long piece of thread. Now all I have to do is just fold that over, so that upward, and then I wrap it to the back and press it in place. Now, I don't have to use any kind of special tape or adhesives or anything to get this to work. If I press really, really good, and then I just clip it in place. See what kind of clips I can find here. So here's my little clips. I try to put at least 3 on the wider pocket and 2 on the more narrow pocket. So I'm going to just sew that together, but I'm going to stitch this binding down right here in the ditch. I'll have to move this clip out of my way. So there's that sewn in place, and I just clip these ends off. This onto this other part of the pocket here, or side. I just line it up, and I clip that in place. And I've got another machine that I'm sewing in some lighter thread. I don't know if you can see that. I'm doing black if it's dark, and I am doing the lighter. I have to have 2 machines set up anymore. I don't want to have to keep changing the thread out over here, and plus I don't have very many bobbins yet. I need to go buy me some bobbins, and that involves a whole day trip to probably Evansville. That's the closest place I can go. We're back. I have stitched the first side to the bottom of my bag, which to remind you, I decided to do it in a different color because the floors tend to be dirty. And if I have to set this bag on the floor, I try not to. I try to hang it on the side of the chair or set it on a table. But if I have to set it on the floor, I know that it's not going to show dirt, because this yellow would definitely show dirt. So what I have to do now is take my other side and I line it up, and I will stitch that to the bottom, so that I'll have one long continuous strip, one long strip. So that's what I'm getting ready to do now. Okay, so now I have attached one of my front pieces to this long strip that I created. My side, my bottom, my other side. And what I want to show you is these bindings. I wanted them to just be a little bit not right on top of each other this time, so they are one's under the other, just slightly. At least I hope it turns out that way after I sew it down. We'll see. Okay, I'll be back. So I'm back again. I had a little injury while sewing. Stabbed myself. So I've got to put on, the only Band-Aid I can find is from Frozen. Yes, I have a granddaughter that loves Frozen, and so when she's here, I have to have Frozen Band-Aids. And the other, my grandson, he likes Mickey Mouse, so I have Mickey Mouse Band-Aids for him. So, and I couldn't find the Mickey Mouse, but I could find the Frozen. So I have put on Frozen to protect me from bleeding all over my new bag. Anyway, so you can see how this is shaping up. I think I actually will turn this. I can turn it back where you can kind of see what it's going to look like. You get the idea. That's what's important. If you've made any kind of bag before, you know you're dealing with a lot of thickness of fabric. But there you go. These are just slightly lower. It's just the binding. That one might be a little bit more, but not much. And so my pockets are nice and deep. This is the one that's divided for that ruler. And there's my bottom. So it's looking pretty good. All I have to do is sew on the other side, and I bind the top. I'll put the handle on in place first. I learned from the last one, don't try to do the binding and the handle at the same time. My handle moved, and I ended up having to try to sew it the best I could in place. It's a slightly bit off in one place, but not bad. You also have to make sure that your handles aren't twisted, but we'll go through that. Anyway, while I'm kind of mending here from my injury, I think I'm gonna go have some lunch. Well, welcome back. It's after lunch and I'm feeling better. My finger doesn't hurt any longer, but I'm gonna keep that Band-Aid on there just for a little while longer, while I'm sewing on this bag at least, and then I'll take it off a little later and look at it. It just looked like I poked it with something. I don't know. Sewing hazard, what can I say? You know, it happens. So what I've done so far is I have pinned or clipped on the other part of my bag, and that's what I'm going to do right now, is sew that back on. I'm going to stop the video while I do that, and I will be back in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back. What I have discovered, I try to poke my fingers through there just to see if I got the corners really well, because I'm having to sew on my other machine. It doesn't want to take this thickness too well. Had a few issues over there. I am going to clip these corners down some, just to kind of get rid of some of that bulk. Being careful not to go through that stitching. A little close there. So anyway, other than that, excuse me, this is ready to have the handles attached first to the top edge. I want to flip it out so you can kind of see it. So let me do that. I'll be right back. So I've got this in the process of being turned. I got my bottom, my sides, all that connected together, trying to get it turned where you can get a good idea of what it looks like now that it's together. It may not be perfect like a professional bag maker would do, but it will service my needs. That's all I care about. Being able to take what I have to take with me to these the extension office here in Kentucky. We have things called the extension office, and I go there and volunteer, help people learn sewing. Might start doing a knitting class, we'll see. And anyway, I enjoy it when I can go. They meet on Tuesdays, so sometimes it doesn't work for me to go, but most of the time I can get there and help out with people learning to sew. Anyway, so there it is. There's my bag so far. I like it. It's looking pretty good. So it's together. I have my lining together. But what I need to do next, before I do the binding, is figure out where I want these handles. Now when you do this, you need to make sure you don't have a twist in it. Let me do it on this side. See if I can do this. Yeah. Like if I wanted to do it like this, I've got to make sure that's not twisted. Now you may be wondering what I'm going to do. I will actually end up losing about that much, just anchoring it really good. So it's going to be sewed on, and then it'll be folded back up like that. I don't know if you can see that. Like, you know, I'm going to fold it up on itself. So this side here will be against the fabric, and this side will be the right side out where the bag handle is. So I decided to place my bag handles on these seams to help hold them down. Before I had them a little bit in and looking at my bag, I thought, you know, I think I can do that and I'll be happier. So that's where I decided to put my handles. I just lined it up right with this seam here and sewed over, and I backstitched. So now I can place my binding on. Okay, so I have my lining in there, I have the binding on and ready to sew in place. The only thing I'll lack when I get finished is bringing up the handle. I'll take it down so far and bring it up, and I will stitch that around and just squirt to really anchor it in place. And after that, it's finished. So I am almost there, and believe me, I'm ready for it to be over because I'm tired of wrestling with this. Fabric is really stiff. That interfacing was a little thicker than I thought it was, and so having all these layers has really made it hard to manage, but you know, it'll break in. So we're gonna live with it. That's the way it is. Okay, we're done. We have got this finished. It's lined. I've got my zipper in there. I have my little side pocket. I think it actually ended up on the side I'd like for it to be on. My handles are on. And the only thing is I probably will add a ribbon to the inside because I just think it needs something there. This did go in smoother than the one on my knitting bag, but I got a few things I got to clip off and clean up. But anyway, I would join that with webbing again, just that roll webbing like you use for hems, and just press it on in place. I won't sew it. So anyway, this little side pocket here that I created on the outside, this is my tool that I use to alter patterns. So it fits perfectly. It might be a little bit in my way. What I thought was, and it will work, that will be to the back, so it won't bother me. Works out fine. Fabric, I just grabbed something I had, would go in the bottom of the bag. I would put these scissors, see they have a sheath on them, upside down, handle side, down in that side pocket. So I hope you can see this where I stuck them. Maybe not. And maybe you can. I don't know. Probably can't, but they're right in here. And since it's a little girl's pattern, I like these. I bought this at Children's Corner. It's a little summer dress. My granddaughter picked out that fabric, so since it's a small pattern, I can put it in this front pocket, aside right there. And I know I can get a big bow pattern. I've got, well, I had some back there, but I don't right now. As far as little tools go, I have some little scissors. Most of that stuff, I would open up this zipper pocket on the inside, and I would just start throwing it inside. Like this, these pins, because you know how things like to open. I would rubber band that closed, throw it in, pointy things, put them in here. If I wanted to take my lighter weight scissors, I'd probably stick them down in there. And I've even thought about maybe bagging up some of my little clips because you never know what you might need. I'd put a tape measure, just anything I thought I would need. This would be a good place for a bottle of water. You know, just carrying it over there so you got something to drink. But it's going to work out fine. I am really, really pleased with it. So, hey, y'all have a blessed day and a blessed week. And I will see you next week with a new topic. And I don't know what that's going to be yet, but something will come to me.